Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's stories. The White House approved an emergency declaration for California on Saturday. This comes after recent storms killed at least 19 people and brought floods, power outages, mudslides, evacuations, and road closures. The Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta is filled to the brim, but Valley farmers in Southern California won't get access to much of it. We'll explain why the majority of the rainwater is flushed to the ocean. And the state has turned from a budget surplus to a budget deficit. Governor Newsom proposes a $6 billion budget cut in climate change programs. California continued to be pummeled by storms over the weekend. At least 19 people have died as a result of the weather. Floods, mudslides, and power outages are just some of the problems residents are facing. Now the White House is answering the state's call for support.
President Joe Biden approved an emergency declaration for California on Saturday. It came as another wave of rainstorms began to drench the waterlogged state at the weekend, and after State Governor Gavin Newsom made a public call earlier in the day for the president to make a move.
Because that's my response to the folks out there on cots right now, in terms of what are we going to do for them.
A series of atmospheric rivers has pounded California since December 26. The weather event, involving a flowing column of condensed water vapor, is rarely seen in such frequent succession. They've left at least 19 people dead and brought floods, mudslides, power outages, home evacuations, and road closures. Biden ordered federal aid for state, tribal, and local recovery efforts in the affected areas, according to a White House statement. At the earlier briefing in the central city of Merced, Newsom urged Californians to remain vigilant over the next 2 days, saying he was aware many people are fatigued about the ongoing challenges. As rain, snow, and gusts swept into the state yet again on Saturday, residents in this Santa Cruz County community of Felton said they were indeed fatigued.
The cleanup was awful, but, we cleaned it up, and then next thing you know, fast forward, 6 days was it? I don't know. We're flooding again, so we were in shock because even though we prepped for it, we didn't prep for it to get as high as it had. And so that was even more mess and more destruction. Our furnace is gone, it's just a lot. And then to go through the third time, it's just defeating.
3 floods in 10 days or a week it's a bit too much. It's tough. But life goes on.
The 9th and final atmospheric river of the series is due to make landfall on Monday and last a couple of days.
The Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta Valley farmers in Southern California won't get access to the storm waters after years of a catastrophic drought. That's because the majority of the water was flushed into the ocean. While California enjoys continuous rainfall after years of drought, most of the water has flown back into the ocean. According to data provided by the Bureau of Reclamation, over 85,000 cubic feet per second per day of rainwater flowed into the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta during the first week of January. Around 95% of the water was flushed out of the delta into the Pacific Ocean, rather than being pumped to Central Valley farms, storage facilities, or Southern California communities. This intense flushing of water to the bay is driven by a 2019 legal document known as an incidental take permit. Governor Gavin Newsom's administration designed the permit to require water flushing when delta flow intensifies between December 1st and January 30th. Sources told the San Joaquin Valley Sun, a Central Valley-based news outlet, that the permit was reportedly triggered on January 3rd. Once triggered, the Department of Water Resources must reduce exporting water out of the delta into the San Joaquin Valley for 14 consecutive days. In response to the continuous storms and ongoing flush operations, California Republicans sent a letter to Newsom and President Joe Biden urging them to waive the delta pump operations. they said the current rainfall should not go to waste and that the prolonged drought has crushed California families and farms. California is faced with a $22.5 billion budget shortfall. To combat this, Governor Newsom has slashed $6 billion from the state's proposed climate budget.
Governor Gavin Newsom has shrunk the state's proposed climate budget by $6 billion to a new budget of about $48 billion. At a press conference unveiling his proposed 2023 budget, Newsom said that $48 billion is, quote, an unprecedented investment in this space. Initially, the 2021 and 2022 budget acts allocated $54 billion for climate initiatives. Of the $6 billion cut, about $3.3 billion will affect the state's clean transportation programs. Newsom said that the reason these initiatives are on the chopping block is because of the unprecedented magnitude of those budgets in the first place. However, the climate budget report states that most of the reductions will be restored if there are sufficient funds by next January. Environmental groups have expressed disappointment with the budget cuts. These groups claim that the move could slow down the transition from gas power to electric vehicles. Back in August of last year, California passed new rules banning the sale of new gas-powered cars by 2035. Despite this, the governor has proposed cutting 10% from the state's $10 billion zero-emission vehicle budget. Newsom also plans on cutting $194 million out of the $8.7 billion budgeted in 2021 and 2022 for drought response and water resilience funding. This move comes as California grapples with heavy rainfall and devastating floods due to a chain of storms. More than 20 million residents were under flood alerts last week. The amended budget is set to bridge California's pending budget deficit.
The nation's largest insulin makers and partners are getting sued. The California Attorney General accuses the company for driving up the cost of insulin through deceptive business practices.
On Thursday, January 12th, California Attorney General Rob Bonta sued several large companies for allegedly overpricing the drug insulin, which regulates blood sugar level for people with diabetes.
We're here to announce that the California Department of Justice is suing the largest insulin makers in the world, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi, along with the nation's largest pharmacy benefit managers, for breaking the law and deceiving the public when they aggressively hiked the cost of this life-saving drug.
He said a vial of insulin may only cost a few dollars to make, but end up costing $300 or more. The lawsuit alleges that the companies leveraged their market power to overcharge patients. It also claims that the U.S. insulin market is an oligopoly. According to Bonta's office, those insulin makers produce over 90% of global insulin supply, and insulin reportedly costs 10 times more in the U.S. than outside of the country. And the third-party pharmacy benefit managers included in the lawsuit are CVS Caremark, Express Scripts, and Optum Rx, accounting for roughly 80% of prescription claims managed.
Over the last 20 years, big pharmaceutical companies increased the price of insulin by over 600%. Today, as many as 1 in 4 diabetics cannot afford the drug and commonly ration or stop taking insulin altogether. This is extremely dangerous and can lead to serious health consequences, including death.
More than 3 million adults in California, over 10% of the state's adult population, have been diagnosed with diabetes. The lawsuit seeks to control the high cost of insulin by promoting price competition and eliminating unlawful, unfair, and deceptive practices, as well as recover restitution payments on behalf of Californians for previous insulin overpayments.
Friday the 13th is typically known as an unlucky day. But one lottery winner not only beat the eerie odds of winning, but won the second largest jackpot in the history of the game, Mega Millions Lottery.
The winning numbers for the Mega Millions jackpot on January 13th were 30, 43, 45, 46, 61, with Mega Ball 14. The single ticket holder winner is from Lebanon, Maine, and is the only one that has matched all 6 numbers drawn. This is the first time that the state of Maine has had a Mega Millions winner. The jackpot amount had grown to be a $1.35 billion Powerball prize, making it the $4th billion prize awarded in the Mega Millions jackpot history. Since the game started in 2002, this was the 7th winner to win on Friday the 13th. The previous winner was on October 14th of last year. A $502 million prize was shared by winning tickets for smaller prizes in California and Florida. The next drawing is on Tuesday, January 17th. The jackpot prize will be reset to its current starting value of $20 million.
We are going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. Bed Bath & Beyond is closing 6 more locations in Southern California. This is in addition to the 5 California stores closed last August. And a Los Angeles neighborhood is looking to become a wellness hub. We see residents investing in local businesses and focusing on holistic health trends. That and more on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Liang Zhang. Bed Bath & Beyond announced that they will be closing 6 locations in Southern California. The popular department store says the closures are due to less customers coming in and inventory shortage.
Bed Bath & Beyond is closing 6 locations in Southern California. That's according to a January 10th announcement. The department chain plans to close its locations in Valencia, Palmdale, Burbank, La Habra, Lakewood, and Buena Park. This is part of the company's plan to close 150 out of 708 stores across the United States. So far, only 126 locations have been announced. The company says these closures are due to, quote, lower customer traffic and reduced levels of inventory availability. According to the release, Sue Grove, CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond, says the company has identified which products customers were beginning to lose interest in and swiftly acted to change their assortment. However, they have not been able to achieve their goals. Grove says, quote, we want our customers to know that we hear them and are changing ahead every day to meet their needs. Our entire organization is laser focused on maximizing the value of our company by reconnecting with our customers. Company executives said they would also be cutting their workforce by 20%. During the company's 3rd quarter of the 2022 fiscal year, it announced a 33% decline in net sales.
As many people are putting the pandemic behind them, a holistic health approach to life is becoming a new trend. In a Los Angeles neighborhood, businesses put big money into making it a one-stop shop.
During the pandemic, people started to become more aware of the significance of good health and living well. That's what places like LA Studio City are focusing on. LA Studio City is a neighborhood with 28 shops and restaurants, and the goal of becoming a wellness hub. Its focus is relaxation and wellness.
You cannot look at the housing prices, your stock market. You need to look at your dog, your children, your spouse, to be able to be centered and balanced, to be able to take a deep breath and realize that you are the only thing that is keeping things going. To be centered and grounded are the things that make for human life.
What is wellness? It's a word used to describe fitness, appearance, and nutrition as a wholesome approach to health. And when it comes to healthy living, some Californians make it a way of life. Innovations and trends of all kinds pop up all the time. Many modern health centers now help people meet all their wellness needs.
We are a health optimization and longevity center. We specialize in bioindividuality. So we do biomarker testing to evaluate genetic dispositions, food sensitivities, hormone imbalances, and we have the greatest technologies in the world under one roof, things such as IV therapy, hormone optimization programs, ozone therapy, and cryotherapy even.
Being the home of many studios and networks, Studio City sits just north of Hollywood. Its park-like village was built as an oasis for city folk. It offers a place where people can escape and spend leisure time.
They are, gyms like Equinox and services like MyoDetox and Next Health. but also, even the clothing stores and the food offerings we have, it's all natural products and things that come locally. And so even having secondary effects of wellness for not just the people that come here, but for the larger community, it's very important to us.
Developers have recently remodeled the shops at Sportsman's Lodge, a 5,500 square foot that used to be a hotel. At the forefront of its design was health living, and most of the tenants are now related to health and wellness.
The top classical Chinese dance company Shen returned to UC Berkeley to perform over the weekend. The audience shared about the performance's display of culture, artistry, and goodness. NTD's David Lam reports.
For this year, Shen Performing Arts has 5 shows at UC Berkeley. Now at the Zellerbach Hall, we spoke to some audience members who are actually alumni of the school, and they were touched by the performance. They were sharing about the meaning of history and culture after watching Shen.
It was just, so well done and so well put together. The time and the effort was so palpable. It was just touching, deeply to my soul and my core. And yeah, really inspiring.
And seeing the amount of training and the repetitive, action that you have to take to learn all these moves, and just to be able to do the splits like that, we know how much work is going into it. Just based on what we've seen, it's really impressive.
UC Berkeley alumni Sarah and Matt Adler saw Shen for the first time over the weekend with a display of classical Chinese dance, music, and innovation.
I like the orchestra, I like the narration. The dancing is impeccable. I like the multimedia effect, the dancers jumping into the screen and off into the video. That was well done.
Oh, they were high energy, they were right on time, the synchronization of their performance, the unity of how they presented on the stage. I could see there was a lot of time and effort put behind the presentation. I really admire and value the time and effort they put in.
Most of the artists practice Falun Gong, a Buddhist-based meditation system currently being persecuted under China's communist regime. The artists aim to show what China was like before the communist government tried to eradicate spirituality and faith.
There's more to the culture than people see nowadays, I think. So, what I think is interesting is how much Marxism and communism have changed China, more than a lot of people realize, and that there's a difference to China now than there probably was then. And I think people don't evaluate how important how much Marxism has changed China away from its traditional cultural roots.
We live at a time that it's really almost the crossroads between good and evil. Which way are we going to go? And they clearly saw the time of renewal in the world, where people believe in God, believe in goodness, believe in spirituality, and they showed it in their dance and in the images on the screen. So it is a time where we're all waiting for a Messiah to come, or the true man to come to teach us truth, beauty, and goodness. So they hit on a very important theme.
The New York-based Shen is currently not allowed to perform in China.
You can't erase that. You can't eliminate that from the Chinese people, from the Chinese history, from China. It's a part of the culture, just like the food. You're saying this doesn't exist. It doesn't mean anything. It shouldn't exist. It's like, I don't understand. It's like saying you shouldn't speak Cantonese or something like that. To me, I just can't fathom the thinking behind what the government feels it needs to be oppressed. I don't understand it.
Shen Yun's mission is to share China's 5,000 years of history to the world.
We need it more than ever right now, especially post-pandemic and with everyone being separated on lockdown. It's been really important to bring people back together and to remember our legacies and our stories and our history pre-pandemic. I feel like it's really unifying humanity again and bringing people out of their homes and back into community so that we can remember where we came from and where we're headed and why we're here as human beings, just to celebrate life and celebrate beauty.
I can't say that one better. No, that was, it's vital. It was vital before, it's vital now, it will be vital forever. There's a reason why these dances have lasted thousands of years, and this culture is so important to preserve. And we go to so many live performances because there's nothing like it. Even a live stream of a performance is nothing like the real thing. So just to be in the room and to see anything that's right on the stage is one of a kind. That's why we're here today, and And yeah, I'd want to go as often as possible.
Some of Shen Yun's upcoming West Coast performances are in Folsom, Fresno, Modesto, and Colorado in January, and Sacramento in February. Reporting in Berkeley, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
Now let's check in with NTD's Tyler Castillo for today's Sports Roundup.
I'm Tyler Castillo, taking you through the California Today Sports Roundup. Sofi Stadium, home to the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers, were host of last year's Super Bowl and this year's College Football National Championship, where the University of Georgia won. Sofi Stadium will have more sporting events held, as it was announced that they will host the CONCACAF Gold Cup Finals on July 13th of this year, the World Cup Soccer in 2026, and the Olympics in 2028. Speaking of upcoming events, the 2023 NFL Pro Bowl games will be held in Las Vegas on February 5th, where we will see players from the 49ers, Rams, and Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers Khalil Mack and Derwin James Jr. have both made the AFC defense roster. 49ers George Kittle, Trent Williams, and Kyle Juszczyk all made the NFC offense roster. For the NFC defense roster, the 49ers' own league sack leader, Nick Bosa, and teammates Fred Warner and Talanoa Hufanga will be playing. This will be Hufanga's first appearance in the Pro Bowl. On the NFC defense, the Los Angeles Rams' Aaron Donald will also be making an appearance at the Pro Bowl. And for all the hockey fans out there, the NHL 2023 All-Star Game will be held in Sunrise, Florida on February 4th, where we will see our own California All-Stars representing the Pacific Division. Erik Karlsson is making his 7th appearance in the All-Star Game and his 2nd appearance as a San Jose Shark, the most out of anybody in the Pacific Division. Karlsson currently ranks first for all defensemen in goals, assists, and points. Representing the Anaheim Ducks is Troy Terry, who will be playing in his 2nd consecutive All-Star Game. Troy Terry is currently leading all Ducks players in goals, assists, and points. Representing Los Angeles is Kevin Fiala, who joined the Kings this offseason from the Minnesota Wild and will be making his first appearance in the All-Star Game. Fiala currently leads in assists and points for the Kings. Fans have an opportunity to vote for 3 more players to represent the Pacific Division in the All-Star Game, where we could potentially see more California stars in Florida. And that's the Sports Roundup for today.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Ling Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.